How does one tiny delay turn a routine bill into a financial gut punch? Stay with me as we unpack a real story that exposes a hidden habit keeping many adults stuck, especially if you're trying to build stability in today's economy. I'm Steven, and you're listening to the Money Living Podcast. Many people believe paying bills on the exact due date protects their cash flow, but this habit quietly erodes financial stability. The stress, risk of timing errors, and emotional load create a budget environment where you're reacting instead of steering. Today, we confront that trap directly and uncover a system that restores genuine control. Last-minute bill payers often assume they're being efficient, yet the pattern functions more like a pressure cycle that steals clarity and creates instability. Even federal surveys from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau show that households with irregular bill payment habits face higher rates of overdrafts and late fees. That is the problem we dismantle today. Today's podcast is from our latest finance story video titled Lessons from a $3,500 Late Fee That Exposed a Hidden Money Habit. It is a story of Daniel, who believed paying bills exactly on the due date was a clever cash flow tactic. But what he called precision was really a cycle of stress, rushed decisions, and fragile financial footing that collapsed the moment one slip occurred. His breaking point came with a single overlooked internet bill, just one day late, triggering a $3,500 penalty that shattered the illusion of control he thought he had mastered. That number mattered because it exposed how a routine behavior, repeated for years, silently stacked risk. His system didn't fail occasionally. It was designed to fail eventually. The emotional hit pushed him to see the truth. Convenience wasn't the driving force behind his pattern, avoidance was. Each just-in-time payment delivered a brief thrill but eroded his stability. The late fee wasn't merely a bill, it became the wake-up call that forced him to admit that surviving month to month isn't the same as building lasting financial strength. And that's where the pivot begins. Daniel's moment of clarity reveals a budgeting flaw many people share, mistaking proximity to the deadline for control. The story pushes us toward an essential lesson, not about paying earlier for its own sake, but about building a structure that eliminates urgency, preserves mental bandwidth, and strengthens long-term financial resilience. Let's put the story aside and pull out our financial tools. The heart of Daniel's problem wasn't the late fee, it was operating without a buffer system. When bills depend on perfect timing, any small disruption becomes expensive. Today, we break down a repeatable structure that removes urgency, smooths cash flow, and eliminates the mental strain of reactive money management. Step 1 is establishing a bill payment window instead of a due date target. This means selecting a consistent range, often 5 to 7 days before the actual deadline, where all payments are executed. By shifting from a single-point trigger to a controlled window, you gain predictability and reduce the probability of errors, especially when life interrupts your routine unexpectedly. Step 2 is creating a weekly or bi-weekly check-in aligned with your income rhythm. This session is not a budgeting overhaul. It's a maintenance cycle designed to prevent buildup of unseen issues. Behavioral economists note that small, frequent checkpoints drastically reduce financial surprises because they shorten the reaction time between awareness and corrective action. Step 3 is separating essential bills from lifestyle spending. This is not deprivation, it is prioritization. When fixed obligations are isolated, you can analyze discretionary spending without fear of compromising necessities. It creates clarity, allowing you to treat optional purchases as choices rather than reactions, which is the foundation of intentional financial behavior. Step 4 involves building a 2-cycle buffer, meaning you hold enough in your bill account to cover at least 2 rounds of fixed expenses. This shifts you from paycheck timing dependence to genuine control. The Federal Reserve's research on household financial fragility shows that buffers, even small ones, significantly reduce late payments and cash flow anxiety. Step 5 is automating only after visibility is created. Automation without oversight often leads to overdrafts or missed adjustments. But automation layered on a structured system delivers consistency without blind spots. The goal is to ensure your money moves according to a plan you manage, not according to due dates that pressure you into rushed decisions. Many people resist these steps because they fear losing flexibility. Yet these structures actually increase freedom. Without recurring urgency, your cognitive load drops and decisions stop feeling like emergencies. Psychologists point out that reducing financial friction leads to clearer thinking, which directly improves the quality of long-term planning and personal decision-making. Another common obstacle is the belief that building buffers takes too long. But the process is incremental. Redirecting even small amounts each pay period accumulates stability. Research on consumer savings behavior highlights that progress accelerates once the first layer of stability is created, because fewer emergencies drain resources unexpectedly. Some listeners may worry that adhering to a rigid structure feels unnatural. The goal, however, isn't rigidity, it's predictability. Predictability increases your margin of safety, reducing the number of decisions you must make under pressure. When fewer choices hinge on timing, you conserve energy for planning, not scrambling, which is a defining characteristic of financial resilience. Another resistance point is emotional attachment to control through timing. People often confuse last-minute payments with financial sharpness. But true control comes from eliminating the need for urgency altogether. The transformation occurs when you stop timing bills for adrenaline and start structuring them for stability, freeing your mind for higher-value financial goals. When these steps work together, they create a system that protects your time, reduces stress, and ensures bills support your financial direction instead of dominating your mood. The entire purpose of this deep dive is to shift you from reactive money habits to proactive ones, giving you a foundation that moves your financial life toward calm, clarity, and consistent progress. Let's consolidate the system we built. Daniel's turning point showed that the real issue wasn't the late fee, it was the lack of predictable structure. Your bill window brings order, your weekly check-in maintains flow, your buffer reduces stress, and your separation of essentials ensures you're protecting your foundation before spending on preferences. When all four mechanics operate together, the burden of timing evaporates. You shift from reacting to your calendar to directing your money with intention. This structure doesn't merely prevent mistakes, it generates momentum by giving each dollar a defined job. That sense of control compounds over time, increasing clarity and improving your overall financial behavior. Here's the quick win tip: choose one fixed bill and pay it 5 days early this cycle. Just one. The goal isn't the payment, it's the feeling of being ahead. That emotional shift is critical because confidence is a reinforcing loop. Once your brain experiences reduced urgency, it becomes easier to build the next proactive habit without resistance. Many listeners ask how early payments affect cash flow when income is tight. The key is to reframe the question. You're not paying early, you're allocating sooner. That shift is what reduces volatility. When funds are assigned before urgency hits, you avoid the chaos that creates overdrafts, penalties, or last-minute decisions that damage long-term financial stability. Another common question is whether this method works for people whose income fluctuates. Yes, but with an adjustment, your check-in cycle becomes even more essential. Regular review replaces predictability with awareness. This prevents income gaps from surprising you and ensures essential bills remain protected, even when earnings vary month to month. Some wonder if buffers are realistic when money feels tight. The realistic path is incremental funding. The buffer isn't created all at once, it grows through consistency. When you round down each deposit or redirect small discretionary dollars, you gradually create breathing room that transforms future decisions. Progress is steady, not instantaneous. A frequent concern is whether early payments reduce liquidity. In practice, liquidity improves because you eliminate the risk of unforeseen expenses colliding with due dates. Liquidity is not only about available cash, it is about available control. When timing stress disappears, the funds you do have work with you instead of against you. Another listener asked whether automation removes too much visibility. The solution is layered automation, manual preparation, and automated execution. You review in your check-in cycle, then let the system run. This hybrid removes the burden of remembering but keeps you fully informed so you never lose sight of your financial direction. Some people worry about feeling too restricted. But the structure actually enhances freedom by protecting your mental bandwidth. When necessities become predictable, discretionary choices feel cleaner and lighter. You're no longer choosing under tension, you're choosing with clarity. That emotional difference increases satisfaction and reduces financial second-guessing. Listeners also ask whether this method applies to both households and individuals. Absolutely. The principles scale. Whether you manage one income or several, the objective remains the same: build a rhythm that removes urgency from your financial life. When bills flow through a system instead of a scramble, everyone involved operates with more confidence. The final question touches on consistency. What happens if you miss a check-in? The system absorbs the lapse. Your bill window, buffer, and automation act as stabilizers. The point isn't perfection, it's protection. A resilient structure forgives occasional human breaks while keeping your financial foundation strong and your long-term goals on track. Consider a household where both partners pay bills on due dates, believing it maximized available cash. You've likely seen similar patterns: multiple deadlines, No buffer, constant tension. When an unexpected medical copay arrived, it collided with 3 bills, triggering overdraft fees. This mirrors findings from the Federal Reserve on financial fragility among timing-dependent households. In that situation, every month felt like a fresh scramble. You can picture how one delayed deposit or forgotten charge triggered a chain reaction. One bill late, then another, then penalty fees stacking. The lesson here is clear. When your system relies on perfect timing, you're not budgeting, you're gambling. A bill window would have broken the cycle. What turned things around for this couple was adopting the 5-day payment window and a bi-weekly check-in. Once they separated essentials from discretionary purchases, you could see the transformation. Tension declined, arguments reduced, and their spending habits adjusted naturally. Their experience reflected psychological research showing reduced stress improves financial decision-making. Another scenario involved a single professional with a regular freelance income. You may relate to the uncertainty of waiting for client payments. She paid bills only when funds arrived, which created a roller coaster cycle. When 2 clients paid late, she missed 2 utilities and paid 3 penalty fees. The issue wasn't income, it was timing dependence. Her pivot came when she established a micro-buffer using the small deposit method, redirecting tiny amounts from each payment to build 1 month of essential bills. You can learn from this. Buffers grow slowly but change everything. Over 4 months, she eliminated late fees entirely and gained enough stability to plan, not panic. A third case involved a retiree managing a fixed income who believed strict frugality meant control. Yet he paid bills manually on due dates and frequently forgot to schedule them. You may see how this creates risk. One missed insurance payment cost him a reinstatement fee. He wasn't careless, he was overloaded by too many manual steps. When he adopted layered automation, review first, automate second, his financial life stabilized. You can follow the same pattern. Establish visibility through routine review, then let automation carry out the plan. It reduced his cognitive load, a result consistent with findings from behavioral researchers studying financial simplification for older adults. Another example, a young adult juggling rent, subscriptions, and variable gig income. She tracked everything mentally and felt organized, but you know how easily mental tracking fails when life becomes hectic. A missed rent reminder led to a late fee that wiped out her grocery money for the week, creating a downward spiral. She implemented the separation rule, fix bills first, lifestyle spending second, and you can see why it works. It shields essentials from unpredictable spending. Within 2 months, her stress dropped because she no longer feared surprises. Her story reinforces the principle that clarity is not about earning more, it's about structuring what you already have. Another case involves someone who thought batching all bills on payday would give control. You've maybe tried something similar. But because payday didn't align with due dates, they frequently paid too early and ran short later, causing reliance on short-term borrowing. The problem wasn't discipline, it was mismatch between income cycles and bill cycles. When they switched to the weekly check-in cycle, the pressure eased. You can benefit from this too. Short, scheduled reviews synchronize your cash flow with real-life timing. The goal isn't to micromanage, it's to smooth the financial rhythm so bills cooperate with your earnings instead of competing with them. In yet another scenario, a household struggled with overspending because discretionary purchases mixed with essential bill money. You can relate to how messy this gets. Everything feels urgent. When a utility bill hit unexpectedly, they scrambled. Their resolution came from creating a dedicated bill account, which simplified decisions and reduced emotional spending. You can apply this yourself. Give every category a home. When essential funds stay in a protected lane, your mind relaxes, and discretionary choices become clearer. Their experience matches consumer finance studies showing that financial compartmentalization reduces anxiety and increases the likelihood of maintaining long-term habits. Another example centers on a person who believes staying liquid meant postponing bill payments. You may have held similar thoughts. But unstructured liquidity is unstable. When his car repair emerged, it collided with 2 pending bills and wiped out his reserve. The issue wasn't the repair, it was the absence of ordered cash allocation. Once he adopted the structured window system, the emergency no longer threatened essential bills. You can see how this applies. Structure protects emergencies from sabotaging your baseline expenses. This aligns with financial resilience data from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau showing that structured allocation reduces vulnerability during unexpected events. Across all these cases, the same truth emerges: you avoid crisis not through perfect timing but through predictable systems. When you build buffers, define windows, separate essentials, and automate with awareness, you shift from reactive survival to intentional stability. Every listener can apply these lessons. They are built for real life, not ideal conditions. As we close today's discussion, remember that Daniel's experience and lessons from a $3,500 late fee that exposed a hidden money habit wasn't about one mistake. It was about a system that couldn't withstand real life. Your financial structure must protect you from timing pressure, emotional fatigue, and surprise expenses. That protection comes from intentional planning. If this episode resonates, your next step is to watch the full visual story. The video expands what we explored here by showing the emotions behind Daniel's shift from reactive habits to structured control. Seeing the transition helps you recognize similar patterns in your own life and highlights how small behavioral changes create meaningful financial stability. I want you to picture what life could feel like when your bills no longer dictate your mood or your day. That's what this method delivers. It frees your mind from urgency so you can think clearly about goals instead of problems. That sense of forward motion, built on purpose, not panic, is what transforms your financial direction over time. The call is simple: commit to building your bill payment window and completing one check-in session this week. Even if you start small, the shift in control will be noticeable. The goal isn't speed, it's structural reliability. Once your system carries some of the weight, decision-making becomes easier and more confident. And as you apply these changes, pay attention to the reduction in stress. When you eliminate urgency, you eliminate many of the emotional triggers that push people into poor money decisions. Stability is not just a financial state, it's a psychological one, and it grows stronger every time you act ahead of the deadline instead of at it. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by unpredictable expenses or timing chaos, this is your moment to change the narrative. Not through extreme budgeting or strict rules, but through structure that carries you. These adjustments create the financial breathing room every household needs, regardless of income, background, or current situation. Before we wrap, here's the deeper reminder: wealth is built through systems, not sprints. It grows from consistency, not intensity. When your money operates through predictable channels, you are better equipped to pursue opportunities, absorb setbacks, and maintain calm during uncertainty. That is the foundation of long-term financial resilience. You now have the framework. Define your bill window, maintain regular check-ins, separate essential obligations from lifestyle spending, and build a buffer that protects your stability. These steps compound over time, allowing you to rise above the emotional and operational noise that often keeps people in cycles of financial strain. And remember, change takes practice. You may slip, miss a check-in, or forget a step. That doesn't undo your progress. The structure itself absorbs occasional inconsistencies. What matters is returning to the system and letting it guide your month rather than letting urgency dictate your actions. This approach builds confidence with every successful cycle. I want you to view your finances not as scattered tasks but as a coordinated flow. When everything has a place, decision-making becomes lighter and more deliberate. That's the mindset shift Daniel discovered, and it's available to you as well. The system is the safety net. Your consistency is the engine that moves everything forward. As you refine your habits, share what you learn with someone else, family, friends, or anyone struggling with timing pressure. Financial clarity spreads quickly when people see the practical difference systems make. Your progress can model a healthier approach for others and strengthen your own commitment at the same time. I encourage you to explore the rest of our episodes and continue building your toolkit for money clarity. Each story highlights a different habit, blind spot, or behavioral trap, giving you the insight to build a stronger financial life. Every lesson is designed to help you shift from reacting to planning with confidence and direction. Your participation in this journey matters. When you apply what you learn, you rewrite your financial patterns and expand the possibilities available to you. Your relationship with money becomes less about stress and more about choice. That is the transformation we aim to empower, one practical step, one structured habit, one story at a time. Before we go, remember that intentionally is your strongest financial asset. When you structure your money with purpose, every decision becomes clearer, lighter, and more effective. Thank you for being part of today's conversation and committing to the work that builds long-term stability. Now let's close with the final message for this episode. To experience the full story that inspired today's lesson, make sure you watch the video linked below. It brings the emotions, the mistakes, and the turning point to life in a way audio alone can't. Until next time, I'm Steven, your AI-powered finance educator helping you master money living.